All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to those full here in this word and truth and in sincerity. All right, I'm the brother Awalam from the GMS West Palm Beach Camp, back with another lesson. Just want to go through a lesson, pretty much how there is no other way out but by Yahawashi. And what I mean by that is, as times get harder and harder, realistically speaking, ain't gonna be literally ain't gonna be nowhere else, for nobody to go. You got 2/3 of our people, what I'm saying, that have comfort here in Babylon the Great. They have comfort, and then I use that word loosely, like comfort, but what I mean by that is they have certain things here in this society, that keeps them sane, if you know what I'm saying, but the time is coming where all of that is going to be taken away, the freedoms, and that's what you see going on with what Esau is doing. What he wants to do is just take away everybody's freedom and have them be slaves under him, under this new system, so they have 2/3 of our people, and people in general, they have something to keep them comforted, in this hell and everything going on right now, with the price hikes, the rising prices and everything, and just altogether the turmoil going on. They have something to keep them distracted. Well, time is coming where all of that is going to get taken away, and you're going to be left with pretty much what you have, what you have, spiritually and mentally, but in our case, we're going to have Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, and in case, Shlaki, which in turn is the point of this lesson, how Yahawashi is our only way out. He's the only one, that we depend on for pretty much sanity, even in these times, because, even before things, spike up, the scriptures call it says, fight the good fight of faith, because even being woken up to this truth, right? Being woken up to this truth is a fight to stay in the faith. It's a fight to keep going. The temptations, the mockery, but Yahawashi, is keeping us sane. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read verse Deuteronomy 28:68. I'm gonna go to Matthew. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68, and it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships." Right? Egypt is referring to bondage, captivity. And it wasn't talking about the ancient Egyptian empire, which the Lord delivered us from. It's talking about America. Because America is, our bondage. This is where we're being held captive at. Because we're not in our holy land. Okay? It says, with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. See, so, with what Esau got going on, it's impossible to really defend yourself. Because you got people out there that'll talk about, coming together and getting guns and yada, 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 which is everything that's not going to work. You need a higher power to take down the so-called white man and his empire, which is the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Because a pistol or a assault rifle, whatever you got stocked up, it's not going to do anything against, robots and, drones and these different military weapons that the so-called white man got. It's not, So that's why I begin with the apostles and elders. We encourage, to not use carnal weapons, against Esau in this kingdom. The scripture says that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. It's really more so a spiritual fight than anything. All right, but we know that Esau, Edom, is gonna make it carnal. But back to the Deuteronomy, it said, "No man shall buy you." All right, meaning what? No man is going to redeem you from the captivity that I'm going to put you in if you don't listen to me, in my laws. So we're living in a society right now where the only way out is through Yahawashi. All right? It said no man shall buy you, which means that no man shall redeem you. All right? Because you got bug outs, y'all try to say no man shall buy you. No man shall buy you. You know what I'm saying? So it means nobody's going to redeem us from this captivity. All right? But nevertheless, Esau is going to make it so tight in his kingdom that you got to go to him for everything, But as concerning the scriptures in Isaiah 10 and verse 20, what did it say? Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 20, what did it say? It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. You see? So the remnant of Israel, which is talking about the elect, is not going to stay upon our enemies. All right, not going to stay upon those that oppress us daily. We're going to stay upon Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahawashi, depend on him for the one of all things. And even so now where we got to, go to Esau's, stores and shopping centers to buy certain things, at the end of the day, we still depend on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahawashi, all right, for our spiritual needs and also our physical needs, man, because the Lord, at the end of the day, is going to provide for us, because he's going to make something happen. But, here in this captivity, in this kingdom, we're not solitude. We got to go to Esau for all things. It's another word for it, but we're in this man's system, so it's like, well, we can't have nothing on our own. You got a business, you got to pay your taxes to Esau. You want to open a business, what you do? You take a loan out, a business loan, to start it up. But then you got to pay them back. And when you paying them back, you got to pay them back through them high interest rates, man. Right? So that shows you right there that you're in captivity. Even though you got a business, you're still struggling to keep up. But the time is going to come to where, hey, if we're in the truth, what I'm saying, the businesses that we have or, whatever that we got going on, at the end of the day, it was only temporary for this time. But hey, it's going to be, give it up. It's going to be a time where we got to give it up because, that's going to be the line in the sand concerning this kingdom. There's a certain line where we are not allowed to cross, specifically when it comes to this kingdom, which is the mark of the beast. And that's where he's going to take it. That's where he's going to take it. You see? All right. Let's go to Matthew chapter 6 in verse 11, Salaki 11, all the way to the bottom. And it says, verse 28, it says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls, So we found that rest, okay, through Yahawashi. And where you got a lot of people in the world, they think they found peace, they think they found rest, but really, they found something to numb them, so to speak. They found something to numb them for the time being, just like a addict, a drug addict or whatever. They do drugs and they're addicted to it because it numbs them for that specific, period or time, and then what happens? They're going to have to take it again to keep that same high or to keep that same energy, and that's what these people are like out there. They got certain things, that numbs them from, reality and the pain of reality, but when the time comes all that shit getting taken away. You know, when you take the drugs from, an addict, what happens? They go crazy. So what you think gonna happen when you take away, these people freedom and their rights? Social media. You take away the right to buy food willingly. Esau getting ready to take all that shit away, man. So that's why, as you can see, there's uproars of the people as the prophecy say, but this shit gonna get worse. Where you got Minnesota and Minneapolis, different things like that. Man, it's gonna get worse. You see? So, we look towards the Heavenly Father through His only begotten Son, Yahawashi, to keep us stable, keep us safe in these times, man. Lord willing, 2026, brings something major. Lord willing, like something pops off to where, legislation gets passed or something. Let's go to Isaiah 33 and verse 6. This is one of my favorites. This is one that you hear every day because this is what's going to be needed, in these times. Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 6. And it says, "In wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure." Okay? Wisdom and knowledge is going to be the stability of our times. Even right now, it's our stability. Because even with everything going on in the world right now, we still have hope that it doesn't go on forever. It doesn't. These people, they got to set in their mind that if they don't do nothing about it, it's gonna keep going, and it's gonna ruin their children's and their, they have a mindset for this world and onward. We have hope and a mindset that this shit is getting ready to end soon, and we got a kingdom coming. So, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Just some of my spirit to go through. Yahawashi is gonna be our only way out. In a time of Jacob's trouble, because once again, the way you see things are going, right? It's gonna get bad out here to where, hey, these people out here not gonna have no answers, man. But through the spirit and power of Yahawashi, we're gonna have the answers. We're gonna know what's going on and why it's happening. So, with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahawashi, by Hashem, and Kakodash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to those full like hearing this word in truth and in sincerity. Until next time, I say shalom.